Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to talk about the new Blend Bunny palette Haunt Me. This one actually came out a little while ago towards the end of December. But I wanted to do a video and talk about it because it's really a fun palette, and I think it's kind of a versatile palette, which I was not expecting when I first got it, just because of the theme and kind of the monochromatic neutralness of it. But let's talk about it because it's pretty great. So Haunt Me was one of a couple palettes, the other one being the Death Tarot by Cosmic Brushes, which I also did a video on if you want to check that out. It was one of a couple palettes released around the end of the year that had this very like goth vibe to it. So lots of reds, kind of monochromatic, kind of neutral-ish, besides those reds. And being the kind of old school goth girl that I was back in high school, I love these and I love the theme. But I was a little concerned that with getting two of them, I kind of wouldn't, I would just be getting two of kind of similar palettes and that I wouldn't have a lot of uses for them since they didn't seem like super versatile palettes. But now that I've done a couple looks with Haunt Me, and one was definitely like the kind of old school goth look, and I'll throw that up so you can kind of see it. And it was fun. It was fun to go back and do that kind of like gothic look, but it's not something that I do often. Now, I'm going on 40, so it's not something that I pull out very often in my day-to-day life. I really, as I've grown, have come to very much enjoy the use of color, a lot of color. So I was thinking to myself, like, I don't know how often I'm actually going to use this palette. But then I was thinking about filming this video. And as I'm thinking about filming this video, I'm also thinking about, well, I have to do a little teaser for Instagram to kind of like hopefully drive some people to watch it. And I was thinking, well, I really don't want to do another goth look because I already did that. So I went ahead and tried to do kind of like a Valentine's thing with pinks and reds. And I got some gold on the lid there. And actually, I feel like it turned out super nice. So not only does this work well for like a gothy dark kind of palette, it also like can be a super cheerful, I wouldn't necessarily say springy, but it certainly works well for Valentine's with the pinks and the golds and the reds. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this palette, and it really does have a pretty neutral looking color story. I think the only colors we have here appear as kind of a bluish, and then we have these kind of four reds here in this quad. So while it does not have a lot of color, it is such a versatile palette. It has like these really nice cool tones. It has neutral warm tones, which I appreciate so much. And I don't know what you all think. Again, I'm no expert on color theory, but I feel like I have a face that can do cool tones or warm tones. So having the versatility to be able to do like a neutral glammy look with the cool tones and the warm tones, I think is just really great to have. I also really love the shimmers that were included. I feel like this may be what elevates this palette from just like a one note kind of goth thing to being that versatile thing to work with, because it does have like a blue purple shimmer. It has a gold. It has that bright red, which I love. And then it has like a kind of darker bronze. And it also has this one which has like little flecks of red in it, which I think are so pretty. So I did swatch these shimmers just a minute ago and then found out that my camera was not recording. So I'm just going to go ahead and show them to you. Unfortunately, you will not be able to see me swatch them. So the first one I have up top there, that one is called Seance. That's this one right here. And that is like, it's a silver but then it has that red shimmer in it that I think is just so, so pretty. The second one there, sort of that really dark bronzy, that one's called Chamber. And I love how dark and bronzy that is. And that was one swipe, that second line right there. So gorgeous. The third one I did was Blood Moon. So it looks like it's going to be kind of black with a red shimmer, but it actually has kind of like this shift to like a bronze or a green, which I don't know, it's really, really cool. I think Blood Moon might be my favorite shimmer in here, or it might be up here, but we'll get to that one. The next one is Flicker. This is like a pure gold, that's number 4 up here. It's like a pure gold, and it's also more like a topper than it is like a real like eyeshadow full coverage shade. And that's the one I used in this look, and I really love topper shades in general, just because I like to do a lot of blending with mattes, and then I'll usually use a shimmer shade on top. So I like how the toppers make that blending or whatever color of mattes I've chosen more visible. And yeah, I was not disappointed with this. Like it still lets the pink shine. The next shade is Appear. That's number 5, and that's like a purple blue shimmer, which I think it's so beautiful. It's giving like fairies more than it is gothic stuff, which is great. I love that this palette is so versatile to have that as well. And finally, the last one is Shroud, which is really like a true silver. And I really appreciate that Blend Bunny included like a true gold and a true silver. I feel like we get so many indie palettes in particular. I feel like we get so many palettes that want to do like the duochrome shifts or the multi-chromes, or something cool and unique that hasn't really been done. And sometimes the color combos to me feel just like a little bit like I don't love them. Like they haven't been done before, and maybe they haven't been done before for a reason, because they're not really the most popular, or maybe the most like aesthetically pleasing to a wide variety of people color combos. So I like when an indie brand decides to go back to basics and be a little simple about it. So I really love the simple gold and the simple silver in this palette. Okay, I'm going to tell you about the look that I have on today, because it kind of segues into one of my points about this palette that I really love. So I used Succubus kind of all over my eyelid, this pink shade, and it is one of the most pigmented palettes I have used in a long time. I have no complaints about other indie brands and the pigmentation of their matte shades. They're all fine. I feel like I do usually have to do kind of 2 or 3 layers just because I'm blending so much and it just sort of works better. But this palette, and I don't know if I'm just so kind of like flabbergasted because they're reds, and reds are already a strong pigment, or if they genuinely are that much better even than other recent Blend Bunny palettes. I haven't gone back and used like blends or any of their older palettes in a really long time, so I couldn't tell you compared to the early ones. But compared to their recent palettes, I feel like this has even more pigmentation, and I just love how that turns out. So I used Succubus just all over the lid, and then kind of blended the inner corner with Woman in White. And that one did not show up as much on my skin. And that often happens to me with white shades, just because my skin is already really light. And I mean, it's not like white, it has a yellow undertone to it, my skin. So I feel, and that's the kind of thing that like adding a pure white on top of doesn't really get rid of that yellow undertone, so it's just, we can't see it as much. But it did like make the pink lighter, which I enjoyed. And then I took In Vain and I went in and did like just little boop boop of kind of a wing eyeliner. And then I blended it out. And I think that again shows the amazing pigment quality of this palette, because this was just like a couple little boops of pigment, which I then blended out, and it created this whole, like, there's so much red here. It's beautiful, but it is a lot of pigment. So I do feel like if you don't want much, you're gonna have to use a pretty light hand, just to be careful that you're not adding a whole bunch of pigment you don't actually need or want there. And then on the first like third of the eyelid, I put this gold shade flicker, and I feel like it did make a really cute topper for kind of a Valentine's-y look. I really enjoyed how that turned out. I don't know, I feel like pink and gold are a really good mix. I feel like it also would have done well with like the blue purple of a Pier, or even the silver of Shroud. So overall, my thoughts on this palette were really positive. I love that it has kind of a neutral color story that you can do a lot with, but it also has those fun pops of color, which do make it more versatile and able to be used in a variety of looks, kind of whatever you're going for. Unless it's like super colorful, I think you can find a way to make it work with this palette, which I think is great to have. I love a nice workhorse palette. I also really appreciated the pigmentation. I love a lot of pigment. I don't often take as much time as I should to do my makeup, just because I'm a mom. I'm always in a hurry. It can be a lot. So I appreciate a lot of pigment because it makes it faster to do, honestly. Yes, overall, I was really impressed and just happy to see something different from Blend Bunny. I feel like they do really well when they're working within a theme, and I felt like their sort of Victorian Gothic haunted aesthetic worked really well for them. It wasn't another rainbow palette, so I love to see that from them. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments, or you'd like to talk to me about your experiences with the palette, please do go ahead and put your comments down below, because I would love to hear what you're thinking, what kind of looks you have done, whatever you want to talk about, go ahead and let me know. Let's talk. Thank you all so much. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day.